Thank you first and foremost to the 10 that have joined us, Belisa and Tonia. Different people come in and come out. This is the second week of doing these shows. We're really just building our audience, and then people can watch it afterwards. So, you know, the viewing figures are like in the hundreds, which is great. It just gives people a chance to view them whenever they want. As I said before, I'm going to speak to Dr. Belisa first, and then I'm going to get Tonia to do a little cocktail presentation. Hi, Tonia. Thank you very much for joining us. Hi. Thank you. First, I found this on a friend's page. You know, with us being in lockdown and with everything being crazy, new terminology has emerged. New words and, you know, sort of in phrases have emerged, and you probably know some of them. For example, COVIDiot. Everyone knows what a COVIDiot is. Somebody who's quite happy to break lockdown. One who ignores public health advice or behaves with reckless disregard for the safety of others can be said to display covidiocy or be a COVIDiot. But in the UK, they're not called COVIDiots. They're called Wuhankers. I thought that was very funny. If you are a sudden fear that you've consumed too much wine, cheese, and homemade cake and Easter chocolate in lockdown, that your ankles are swelling up like a medieval king's, it's called gout break. There's been a terrible gout break in my family. There's also, if you're on Zoom, as we are right now, and suddenly you notice a glaring issue during a video conferencing call that no one feels able to mention. For example, one participant has dramatically put on weight, or suddenly sprouted terrible facial hair, or has a worryingly messy house visible in the background. It's called the elephant in the Zoom.
Very good.
And then the ups and downs of your mood during the pandemic is the Corona coaster. And we all know that, you know, if you experimental cocktails mixed from whatever random ingredients you have left in the house are called quarantinis, also known as locktail hour. Or if you're a little bit classy, like Catherine, and you know, you're not mixing general household goods and you're drinking some fine wine and being very, very sort of smart and wonderful, it's a furlough merlot you're having, or also known as a Bordeaux, or indeed Cabernet Tidium. Those are the terms. Overdose of bad news from consuming too much media is a Corona dose. And oh, where's the other one? Oh yes, this one I thought was really good, especially for myself. An attention seeker using their time in lockdown to make amateur films which they are convinced are way funnier and cleverer than they actually are. Quentin Quarantino. Oh. I thought I'd use those to get us kicked off. There we are. So without further ado, I'm actually going to introduce my very first guest. And I decided, I don't know if anyone else has done this, I'm sure you have, but I've decided to use intro music to introduce my first guest. I don't know if this is going to be too loud. You might have to turn it down, but here comes intro music for my first guest.
No music.
Not here. Not here.
No.
Oh my God. No, just keep doing what you're doing. It's brilliant.
Just watching you is great though.
I have to back up. I'm going to do it on my phone. Here we go. This is making great radio.
I'm so happy this is recording. This is going to be posted so heavily internally tomorrow.
We even worked on it. I tried it out earlier on. I did a test, I promise.
There we go.
This was such a great walk down memory lane for me. It's a band called the Fun Loving Criminals. They weren't, I don't think they were as big here in the States as they were in the UK, but when I was at college, that band were huge. And my next guest was dated the lead singer for 10 years, and it's one of my favorite super cool things about her in a sea of super cool things about her. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Belisa Vranish.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and bringing back so many lovely memories from those 10 years. But yeah, no, I do have some good memories. I do.
Yes. So
that was a hell of an album. I loved it.
Yeah, it was definitely a great album. It was definitely a great album. It was amazing. This particular musician boyfriend would never practice. So I don't know if any of you have friends who play guitar. It seems like they're always practicing. They're always have the guitar on their lap. And this particular guy never practiced and would pick up the guitar and was just fantastic. So amazing musician, kind of a shitty boyfriend, but actually a good musician. Am I allowed to curse here? Do we have children?
Absolutely.
No? Okay.
No, curse away. Curse away.
Cursing is encouraged, actually.
Okay, great.
Never
We
gets you
need,
through.
yes, some quarantinis and a couple F-bombs and I'm happy. So yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to give a little bit of background. So I met Dr. Belisa Branish on a TV show. It was a pilot for essentially a show like The Man Show, right? And we were on as guests. Dr. Branish, or Belisa, she keeps telling me to call her. I just like Dr. Belisa Branish. I think it's
Go ahead.
So Belisa is a clinical psychologist, sex and relationship expert. And, you know, as things evolved, you became basically sort of world renowned for your talks and your books on breathing.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought it'd be great, given the fact that we've been in lockdown for so long, and, you know, it is quite stressful. You know, people think just sitting at home isn't stressful, but it actually can be very stressful. So I thought it'd be great to bring you on and to ask your opinion and, you know, speak about breathing and mindfulness and meditation and how this can aid in these times.
Great. Well, I'll tell you, first of all, actually, let's just take a deep breath because I'd like to see folks take a deep breath to see what you're doing. So if you could come off the back of your chair and just give me a deep inhale, fill all the way up. And I'm just going to take a peek and see how you're doing. And then exhale, relax. Big inhale, fill all the way up. And then exhale, relax. And one more, big inhale. Really big, Blake. Go ahead. Good job. And exhale, relax, settle down. Nice, Eric. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of what's called a vertical breath. So check yourself right now to see if you inhale, do you go up a little bit? And when you exhale, do you come down? So try it again. Inhale and exhale. Most adults breathe this way. It's a vertical breath that you go up on the inhale and you come down and kind of get shorter on the exhale. And unfortunately, this breath is a breath that makes you more stressed, and it's what's called anatomically incongruous, meaning that it doesn't actually fit with the way we were designed. So when you're breathing vertically, you're overusing your neck and shoulders. So anybody here have neck and shoulder pain or lower back pain? Just give me a hand in the air. Yeah, okay. Tonia, okay, yeah, okay. So let me ask you while I have you here as well, any digestive problems? And you seem to be a pretty close-knit group, but you don't have to tell me specifically which one it is. So it's irritable bowel, constipation, or acid reflux. Any of those three? No? Okay, good. A little bit? Okay, fine. All right. So, and stress. And right now, even though your home environment may be relaxed or at least comforting, and your office may not be very far away, these are definitely stressful times. And I don't know, you can tell me if your stress is higher now than usual. Just give me a hand in the air, because some people are actually, what I'm seeing. Yeah, anybody else? Up and down?
Yeah,
Lacey,
yeah.
okay. All right. So what's interesting is that people are grouped into being at home and I love it, then being at home and I hate it, and then, you know, being at home and I'm on the verge of running away and things are going really incredibly badly. So there are some folks that are having a wonderful time. I don't know any of them, but I've been told there are people who are actually really thriving and having a great time at home. This breath, that vertical breath, is actually going to put you more of in a stress mode. Who here has been hearing the word vagus nerve, sympathetic and parasympathetic a lot lately? Is that anything you've been hearing? No? Okay, Catherine's saying no. Okay, so when people talk about nervous system, and we're going to be hearing more about this year, is that when you're stressed out, you are in a sympathetic state. And when you're calm, you're in a parasympathetic state. When you breathe with your neck and shoulders, you actually are automatically in a more stressed out state, regardless of what's going on around you. So when I work with military, law enforcement, fighters, and that's actually the first group of people that called me to work with them, is that regardless of what's going on around them, they want to be able to breathe in a way that their heart rate stays low, their blood pressure stays low, and they're able to think clearly and not be stressed. And that's actually in a way that's called horizontal. So let's actually go ahead and do this right now, because I want you to leave with some tools, not just information. Come up off the back of your chair. So the back of your chair is not your friend. Make sure you're not touching the back of your chair. And I want you to do this because most of us you can't see, because at least the bottom parts of us, is put your hands on your belly. On the inhale, I want you to rock your hips forwards and let your belly go into your hands. And on the exhale, I want you to tip your hips underneath you, press your back into the chair, exhale, and really squeeze and use your abs. So you're gonna be rocking forwards and back. For those of you that do yoga, this is sort of like a seated cat-cow, okay? So inhale, press your belly into your hands. If you're really lanky, you're gonna have to press your belly into your hands. If you're holding a little weight around your belly, you're letting it go. But that inhale, I want the middle of you to expand. And then on the exhale, I want the middle of you to narrow. And if you can do this through your nose, that's actually going to help as well. Big inhale, tip forwards, and exhale, tip back. So when you breathe this way horizontally, it supports your digestive system, it supports your lower back, and it puts you into a calmer state regardless of what you're thinking. So this is the way that you should be trying to breathe all the time. And for those of you who are saying, I don't want to let my belly go, because I was one of them, so don't worry, is that this actually makes your core stronger. On the inhale, you relax and try to expand without using your shoulders. And then on the exhale, you actually try to squeeze and narrow and use your exhale muscles. Funny enough, who here has kids? Kids or pets? They both count. Yeah, kids or pets? No? Eric, kids or pets? Not one? Fish counts, okay. All right, so at age 5.5, the breath changes. So if you look at your 4-year-old, or you remember how your 4-year-old or even your 5-year-old used to breathe, they would breathe horizontally. And if you look at your cat, your dog, your fainting goat, your fish, whatever you have, and you look at it on the inhale, it will expand in the middle. And that's where the best part of your lungs are. That's where the densest, most oxygen-rich part of your lungs is right in the middle of your body. What happens is actually at age 5.5, that changes. So as kids go to school, they start sitting, they start being more social animals and taking tests, they start bracing their middles, and the breath goes up here to their shoulders, where the smallest part of the lungs are, and where you actually have to take more breaths faster to get the air that you need.
So let me ask you, you say that it changes around 4 or 5. Why do people go down that route if it is more stressful for the body? Is it just a natural progression?
So why do 5.5-year-olds change?
No, why do all people end up breathing in a stressful manner?
So the more stress you have, the more you're going to brace your body. So think about it right now. You're going into a stressful meeting, or you're going into a stressful situation. The first thing you're going to do is tighten up your belly, tighten up your abs. Now, if your day starts that way and then continues that way, you're pretty much bracing your body the entire day. And you can't breathe with your diaphragm using the best part of your lungs if your body's braced. So when folks say, do we really have more stress now, or are we just really softer and we're just more snowflakes? The answer is that we just don't have moments where we're relaxed anymore. So we go from meeting to texts to news to a phone call to texts to information, another meeting, so on and so forth. So we never have those couple seconds to recover and then expand and inhale and narrow and exhale. Because in general, we're very resilient. You just have to have those couple seconds where we can reboot again. So as you're listening to me, I want you to inhale, tip forwards, relax your glutes, let your belly go. So I want to see everybody coming forwards. And on the exhale, tip back and really squeeze with your belly and your ribs so you get a really good exhale. The exhale is the underdog. Most folks who say, hey, I can't take a deep breath, it's because they've just given a really shitty exhale, so they can't give a good inhale. Take your shoulders, roll them out. They have nothing to do with this. Those are auxiliary muscles, shouldn't be using them. if you keep breathing this way and actually doing a little bit more harder breathing exercises, it actually affects your endurance as well. So if anybody is in a sport where you need endurance, what's kind of fascinating about breathing exercises is that you can actually get to have better endurance without doing more cardio. So little extra tip there.
Well, one of the reasons I thought this would be interesting, as well as, you know, surviving lockdown, is, you know, I did my first triathlon recently, and one of the things I noticed was my breathing became way more important than I ever thought it was going to be. Obviously, keeping calm, and, you know, you think it happens automatically. And, you know, I remember when you first started your breathing, putting together your lectures and everything, you said, you know, you asked me to come to a class, and I was like, I've been breathing since I was born. But it really is quite incredible how much of an effect it has on you. You know, I distinctly remember getting to the point of being a little bit fatigued, so I concentrate on breathing and getting the oxygen in, and put a lot of thought into it. So very interesting.
We do it really badly, actually, and it's just because we sit so much, and the computers and technology, we just are doing it in a way enough to survive, but just barely. And then breathing, our respiratory system actually improves with age until age 29, and then it plateaus, and then it goes down. So we want to start working on our breathing and working on our breathing muscles, just because you'd think it was 39 or 49. No, 29, it plateaus and starts to go down. So one of the things I encourage you to do, because getting a baseline for yourself is really important, and it helps you care more about it, is to get a breathing IQ. So you can go onto my website, and there's a section there about how to take your breathing IQ. Because most of us say, oh, I'm going to take a deep breath. And you puff up your chest and you think that's a deep breath. But is it actually a really good deep breath? Are you using your main breathing muscles, which are your diaphragm? And the answer is no. It's a caricature of a deep breath, but it's not actually one where you're using your diaphragm. And your diaphragm, we think we know what it is, but you know, all we see when we see diagrams of the body and the diaphragm is a little red line that goes across the body. And the fact is that it's a skirt steak the size of a frisbee that's in the very middle of your body, below your heart and your lungs, and above your digestive system. And it's supposed to flatten out and push your ribs open. And then on the exhale, your body narrows. So there's supposed to be this undulating movement in the middle of your body. And most of us are not breathing that way. We're braced. And then when we do want to expand and inhale, our diaphragm is inhibited. We're all going to be so you know, caught up in concentrating on our breathing now. Everybody's going to be, oh, this is so you've done classes for police, fire department in New York, UFC fighters, athletes. Who of all the people, of all the groups that you've done talks for, who do you think has benefited the most? Oof, I'd say firefighters. I mean, everybody benefits in a way that's very specific to them. So if I have somebody come in and they have test anxiety, the breathing can help them for that. If someone has fear of public speaking, sometimes it's not the audience that upsets them, it's the fear of running out of breath in that sentence, and they don't know that. If someone has a lung injury and is trying to make sure that the other lung or the not damaged tissue is working, then it works for them. If they have terrible acid reflux or lower back pain, they go away very happy because it helps them. I think that one of the reasons I love doing what I do, and it's as popular, is because it works so quickly, and it's, I think, Kieron, we're looking at your desktop now. Which is much neater than my desktop. So it's embarrassing when mine comes on. What's interesting is you don't have to buy anything. It's just, you just actually have to become more aware of your body and start using what you have, and start using it in a way that you used to breathe before, and that the way your body was designed to breathe. But we've come very far from that. And the bracing that we do, the weight that we have, the sitting, the pressure, the stress has actually made our breathing be very dysfunctional compared to the way it should be.
Right. I know that you're very keen on fighting, you know, and fight training, and you know, we talked about Bas Rutten before. You've spoken with UFC fighters, and you've helped fighters with their breathing. Obviously, that's a a very important part of their game as well, correct?
Sure. I mean, with fighters, when I first started getting called to help people, it was the DEA, Homeland Security, Border Patrol, military, law enforcement, and fighters. So I thought it was going to be yoga moms, so I was surprised. But I come from a background where my brother does martial arts, and I had for a while, and my dad was in the Army, so I wasn't uncomfortable in that situation, but it was definitely not the group I was expecting to have first. Although now I teach everyone from golfers to firefighters. And like I said before, working with firefighters has been very interesting because their breathing doesn't just compromise their life like the most of us, it actually is a matter of life and death. So I've had to really study firefighting in a way I never thought I would have, being a psychologist, and I know a lot about firefighting right now. So that group has been very interesting as well.
That's amazing. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Belisa. I really appreciate you coming on. Everyone who's watching, please understand that Belisa normally charges thousands and thousands of dollars for this. So very incredible that we got it for free, and I really appreciate your time. And thank you for coming on.
No worries. And by the way, there is, if you go on my website, you can do your breathing IQ. There's also all the first book that I wrote, all the exercises are on there. I've managed to put them on there under information for COVID. So my publisher doesn't know, but I just want people to be able to have that information about all the different exercises they can do. And then there is also a sheet or two, which explains how you can breathe to prevent serious complications in COVID and just to keep your respiratory system strong. So feel free to go on that part of the website, and all that information is available.
And your website address is?
The Breathing Class. The Breathing Class, really simple. Yeah.
Breathingclass.com?
Thebreathingclass.com, exactly. And thank you for having me.
You have 3 books?
I have 3 books. The latest one is Breathing for Warriors.
That cover looks amazing. That looks like
yeah, it's a good one because nothing says better breathing like someone's really muscular back. I didn't have anything to do with the cover, but I do like it. Yeah. Thank you, Kieron, for having me.
No, thank you very much for coming on, Belisa. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And everyone else in the room, when Belisa and I met on the TV show, she said, oh, you live in Los Angeles, you should meet my brother. So our brother, Dr. Alexei Vranish, and I have been friends for 10 years, and he invited me down to Machu Picchu last year, and I went down and worked on an archaeological dig at Cusco and at Machu Picchu, and stayed there with him. So, great family, very, very intelligent, very lovely, lovely people. So I thought that was good. You enjoy that, everybody?
Woohoo!
Cool. But that might be a little...
Just keep breathing.
Just keep breathing. That's the thing. Now, it is my pleasure to hand over. I'm going to have to get the music up my phone now because I wasn't able to get it working. But... Oh, you did it yourself.
Windows on it.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, my second guest, or my other guest, is Tonia Guffey Stamper. I have to tell you the backstory of this. With me being in national accounts, and when I was national brand ambassador before, we do hang out with bartenders, but it's not necessarily our main go-to. We tend to, especially now, I'm dealing with national buyers, agency folk, distributors, more than actual bartenders. So this digital speakeasy was put together really to bring on bartenders who are out of work at the moment and give them the opportunity to make a cocktail, throw up a virtual tip jar, get a couple of bucks, hopefully, look after the people that look after us. And I saw Tonia's post on Facebook a while back, and she said, Tonia, do you mind if I read it out? Is it okay?
Yeah, go for it. I don't know what post you're talking about, so.
But the post said, wow, rejected for a bartender brand cocktail video created to help unemployed bartenders. I asked if there's any constructive criticism they could give me, since I literally only shot maybe 3 videos from my iPhone in my kitchen, and I would love to improve so I don't miss out on detrimental opportunities. No response. I'll be rethinking ever supporting said brand again, considering I went out and purchased it during a pandemic. And I thought, perfect, it's the perfect person to invite on. And then I found out afterwards that everybody seems to know Tonia. Tonia is very, very well connected and known in the bartender community. Tom knows her. Oh, right. You know what, Tonia, as I was reading that out, I was like, wait a minute, I hope it's not Edrington. So thank you for clearing that up. Tommy Muranello knows you. So everybody seems to know you. So thank you very much for being my guest.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me and reaching out. It's awesome.
Yeah, I wanna jump in too, because Tonia and I were bar neighbors for a while in Brooklyn, and Tonia was like kind of one of the mentors in the neighborhood and one of the leading voices in the community, and so we go back a ways, and was on the Noble Oak chat a few weeks ago, and also when we were kind of workshopping this idea and leading up to it, Tommy's on here, and some of the people that have been a part of this conversation and getting this all up to speed. A lot of the stuff that you've been contributing to kind of the national cocktail conversation has been touchstones and stuff that we've talked about behind the scenes. I think that it's been a good sounding board, and we appreciate your perspective. So.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. And, you know, as I say, so many people, when I mentioned that you would be coming on, they were like, oh yeah, we know her, she's awesome. And obviously you were in New York for a while and then Vegas. Can you give us a quick bio of, you know, your sort of greatest hits and the bars you worked in?
Yeah, so I was in New York from 2004 until I left. We moved to Vegas in December of 2018. So about 15 years there. And like Tojo said, we worked down the street from each other. I ran a bar called Dram in Williamsburg for about 7 years. And I would definitely go visit him at Extra Fancy after work and, you know, give him all kinds of shit about the music because we're both big music nerds and we're both record collectors and very strong opinionated people about our music choices. And I would just get super hammered and start screaming at him. So like play different jams and stuff like that. So I feel like we have an amazing relationship now because of it. Yeah, so I was at Dram. I worked under Julie Reiner at the Flatiron Lounge for many years. I worked at the Gin Palace, Monkey Bar, Bushwick Country Club, Basic, Donna. So a few places over that span of time. And then we decided to not pay the $3,000 a month that my 800 square foot apartment had come to and move out west here. My sister lives here in Vegas, so brought us here. We've been here about 1.5 years. So
fantastic. And obviously, you know, restaurateurs and bartenders are out of work at the moment. You know, Vegas seems to be completely shut down. Is the entire strip completely closed, or is there some action?
Yeah, it's completely closed. It's kind of apocalyptic, actually. Like, you know, I read the news today about the New York City subway system shutting down for the first time ever. And that was kind of like, whoa. But a few weeks ago, my husband and I we were going to drop some stuff off for a friend, and we drove down the strip, and it's just insane to see it like completely down because obviously all the casinos are closed to the public. But it's nuts, man. It's crazy.
Given how busy that one strip is, and how, you know, everyone goes round the big loop to get anywhere because you can't go down the strip, it's incredible to see it just ghost town like that.
Yeah, just like flying down it. Even a few weeks before the shutdown, like I was working on the strip right before this, and like the weekend before it got mandated for everything to close, I was going to pick my husband up, and I left work, and I was like, I got to his work in such a short amount of time. It was just so weird to be like, there's no traffic, like there's nothing on the strip. And I just like, I don't know, it was like very kind of foreboding, but it was cool. It was just weird, right? Like, yeah. I heard there's no traffic in LA right now. Like, what? Like,
well, the funny thing is, LA just, it hasn't completely closed down. You know, it's just like it's like LA light, basically. The freeways still have cars on them, but it's not chocker. It's not like rammed. And the air's cleaner. Everyone in LA, you know, everyone moans about something, but now everyone's getting sunburn a lot quicker because we don't have as much pollution. So it's sunny and everyone's getting burnt in minutes because we're used to a little bit of haze protecting us, but it's incredible.
Yeah, it's
Tonia,
interesting to see like how, I mean, obviously like this is a very traumatic time for a lot of people, but it is interesting to kind of weigh out some of the positives, you know, like I was talking, my husband's a chef and I'm a, you know, career bartender, bar manager. And so for us, it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm hanging out with you so much. Like, I don't know when this would ever happen, you know, on our normal lives, it's coming and going. And it's been a really interesting chance to connect. We cook together and, you know, I've been DJing in my kitchen, playing records and just like connecting to different kinds of media, trying not to, you know, just watch TV all day or play video games or whatever. And yeah, really interesting, you know.
It's been incredible to see everyone's creativity because, you know, you get stuck at home for a couple of days and you relax and then your mind starts wandering and you start creating videos or you start doing tutorials or a lot of the brand ambassadors and myself have been doing little educational videos, and it's been incredible how much fun it's been to do them and how much support we've had from people who have enjoyed watching them. So it's an enjoyable time.
I think in our industry too, specifically, like we're trained to work, right? Like we are all drawn to long hours and work and dedicating our lives to our jobs. And so it's weird to not have that. Like I will create these like hour-long cooking sessions because I feel like I'm at work, like I've achieved something and I'm not, like, it's so strange. It's just like, it's in our nature and maybe just as Americans in general to like constantly be working, right? Mm-hmm. So it's been challenging, but also cool. I think having a breathing expert on is a really great kind of tie-in with that, because just trying to figure out ways to take like a few moments for yourself, whether it's, you know, breathing or yoga or cooking or whatever, it's been pretty interesting.
No, I think there's so many positives, and you know, obviously a lot of people's lives have been affected, and changing your routine, which can be difficult and can be quite stressful, but there are so many positives attached to it as well. So it's always good to look on the bright side. Talking about which, did you write down your Venmo or PayPal handle for us so that we can do some virtual tipping? You hold that up. Let me see.
It's just my name, Tonia with a little hyphen and then Guffey, but it's probably backwards, right?
Is that on Venmo or PayPal?
That's on Venmo.
Venmo, excellent. So as I said to you beforehand, the reason we put together the digital speakeasy is to bring on bartenders, get them to do something for us, mix a cocktail, and then we hopefully get people to throw some tips. And as I said before, look after the people that have done such a great job at looking after us over the years. So hopefully, if anyone would like to throw a little tip in there, we'd really appreciate it. And you said you'd put a little cocktail together for us.
I did. So I just kind of dug out what was in my fridge. But I wanted to make this drink not in a cocktail shaker, because every video I've done or any of the intros we've done, I've been using my bartending tools. But as I've been cooking this week, I'm realizing there are all these tools for like baking and things like that I don't have, because I'm not, a pro baker, and so I'm gonna make this drink kind of ghetto rigged, just so that if you're at home and you don't have cocktail tools, you can still make it. So I just had some really awesome blackberries. They're the sweet Caroline kind, so they're super, super sweet already. And I was gonna throw them into just like a small bowl. I'm doing like 5 of them because they're delicious. And they're gonna sweeten the drink because I'm not adding any extra sugar. And then I have some mint as well in my fridge. So you don't need to like batter this. Like the mint will be expressed with just like a soft kind of like mash. But I do want to break up the blackberries and get some of the juice. So I'm just taking a bowl that fits in this bowl instead of a muddler, and just smushing it.
That's clever. I like that.
Yeah. And then I'm going to use this same bowl when we strain it. So don't wash it yet. So then it's kind of like So, right? And then I'm just hand juicing a little lemon juice. You can squeeze it by hand because we're going to strain the drink. So if there's seeds and stuff, you don't have to worry about it. I really prefer tart drinks, and I like to prevent scurvy. So I'm going to go with an ounce, but if you're kind of more averse to the acid, you might want to do like 3/4 ounces. And then I am using Magnus, one of my most favorite things to mix with. I was really, really lucky to have worked for Highland Park for multiple years, and I have some it's kind of really gotten me through this whole time, because when I'm feeling like really tragic or desperate, I will take nips off of my 25 or my 30 and feel really like fancy and bougie. And then I'll usually, chase it with like a shitty club soda or something. I'm using 2 ounces of the Magnus, and probably more for sipping. I may have already had some. So the Magnus is really great because it's super, super versatile. I love it because it has a little bit of sweetness. It's almost like an Irish whiskey and a Scotch mixed together, like in a weird way, right? So it has like all that great like maltiness of a Scotch, but it's got this really kind of lovely, like very approachable sweetness, like this really like soft honey, like heather honey. So I really just think that it works amazing in like pretty much any whiskey cocktail. And then I'm gonna use a whisk and just kind of integrate my ingredients a little bit and go flying everything a little smoother than me. And then if you wanted to, you could add like, if you wanted to dilute it because we're not shaking it, you could put like half an ounce of water in it. It's usually about 20% dilution to the total volume of the drink. But I'm going to be topping this with ginger beer and putting it on ice. So it's going to get diluted anyway. And then I'm also using like my shitty freezer ice. So it'll dilute a lot faster than if you were using like cool draft, right? And then if you don't have a small fine strainer, you probably have a pasta strainer, something like this. So I'm just going to strain it back into that bowl. I hate picking like herbs and berries and shit out of my drink or my teeth or whatever. So I'm a big advocate of the fine strainer. Some people really like that like mojito style shit floating in their drink. I don't. So I just double strained all that out and then pour it over ice. And then I'm topping it with this Fever Tree ginger beer and a really good opportunity to use my cute little Highland Park water jug. I had to bring all the toys out. And super beautiful, lovely. You can substitute with any kind of like berry. If you have strawberries, if you have raspberries, it's gonna work the same. If you want it on the sweeter side, you can definitely opt for a sweeter ginger beer. You can add a tiny bit of sugar if you want when you're doing your little bowl squish. But again, I like a kind of more tart, spicy, burly drink. So yeah, cheers.
So it's kind of like a cross between a Collins and a mule, essentially.
Yeah, definitely. Like a buck, a mule or a buck, like, just super easy. Like this is a go-to. Like honestly, an herb, a berry, citrus, and spirit it's a classic, right?
Can't go wrong. I love the fact that ginger beer has become way more popular in the States. In the UK, it's been, for decades. And when I first came here 12 years ago, nobody was drinking ginger beer. But now, because of the cocktail industry, it's become way more popular. And I think Scotch and ginger beer or ale, phenomenal.
They just like pair so magically together. It's like something about that like spicy kind of sweet, and you still have the burliness from the Scotch, right? So it stands up to it. It's my go-to, right? Like, and I feel like there's definitely, like for a while there, like you said, like you just couldn't really find ginger beer anywhere. Like there was the Reeds was making some, you could find it, you know, if you were at like a particularly kind of fancier store, I think. But like now, I mean, I got this at Albertsons. I just sent my husband. I was like, go get something Q or Fever Tree or something spicy and dry. And if you wanted to too, like you could cut it, you know, we have been plowing through club soda, like different flavors. We're doing like, oh, let's try AHA, let's try bubbly, let's try La Croix, like, and like.
Yeah, it is that whole quarantine thing where you're just like, let's see what works. And there's a lot of experimentation and, you know, just home cocktails being made. To that point, Blake Lindlow said, looks great. I think I have all the ingredients. Can't wait to make one tonight. So there we are. Lacey Masari said, drinking a Magnus penicillin now. So you've inspired everyone.
Yes. Oh, penicillin, so delicious.
Right.
Definitely.
And Jeremy was asking, you know, when did you work for Highland Park and what was it you were doing?
Oh, so I started at Highland Park in July of 2017. I know that because it was a few months before I got married. And I had to, during the interview, be like, so I'm going to be gone for like 2 weeks and do this. I'm probably stressed out. But they were super gracious and awesome. And they brought me on as their, started out as a Brooklyn Firestarter brand ambassador, and then kind of spread into New York, and then started to kind of turn into more of like a trade advocacy role. So going to like Camp Run Amok, doing some kind of bigger whiskey shows, the End show here in Vegas I did a few times. So
phenomenal.
Yeah, super fun. I loved working for you guys. It's amazing. Highland Park, one of maybe the, you know, the best kept secrets. I mean, is it even a secret?
Well, that's very much how we see it. We know that it's a hidden gem, and you know, we love it when a bartender has, you know, a bee in the bonnet about it and absolutely loves a brand, because we do too. And it's one of those things, not everyone takes to smoky Scotch, peated Scotch, whereas it's a gently peated, and it's just trying to get people to try it. And you know, a great gently peated Scotch in a cocktail can be absolutely phenomenal.
I think it's so cool, honestly. Like, it's so cool because it's weird. It's hard to explain, right? Like, I mean, as I came up drinking, my dad was a big Scotch drinker. Still, you know, still is if he's treating himself. But he was always like a Lefroy, really smoky, kind of burly style. So that never really turned me off when I was a young drinker. But I feel like as my palate's kind of progressed or changed, like instead of getting kicked in the face all the time, like this kind of soft, it's like a mix, right? It's like this beautiful balance where it's just slightly peated enough to where the smoke comes through. And that's really awesome to me when I mix, especially when I'm making drinks and stuff, because again, it comes through, it doesn't get hidden, but it also doesn't overpower any of the ingredients. So like 12 is one of my favorite things to mix with, 12 and Magnus, obviously. But yeah, it's just, I feel like it's so refined. It's like, it's must be very difficult to be able to like put that kind of like, I don't, you know, like it's like a very sophisticated kind of smoke, right? Like it's held back just enough. It's edited just enough, which is, I can't say enough about it. Obviously I worked for the brand, so I got to drink it a lot, and I appreciate so much about it.
Well, one of the things I learned that I thought was really interesting with Highland Park is, you know, the biological makeup of the island that the Scotch is made on. If it's a peated whiskey, the flora and fauna is what really, you know, dictates the smoke, because the peat is indicative of the plants that were growing there. And on Highland Park, sorry, on Orkney, the winds are so strong, there's very few trees. So it's all sphagnum moss and heather. And so it's a very sweet smoke, as opposed to Southern Islay, where they've got some seaweed in there, and seaweed contains iodine and it's super medicinal. So, you know, you get to talk about almost the terroir in
yeah, I always say terroir too, because it's like I think with Scotch and Mezcal especially too, it's like these spirits are the definition of terroir, right? Like you taste the ground that they're being, every element that's happening is coming through in it. And like, as soon as you think about it that way, you're like, oh, wow, yeah, like shit, this does taste like seaweed and sea spray and this. It does taste like, oh, there's so much heather and honey, and there's, you know, like these natural kind of floral kind of flavors and notes that come through, and you're like, wow, you know, it's interesting to think about how affected, like, the temperature changes the way that things are aged. So the age is different in barrel, right? Than like in Kentucky where it's hot, you know, your younger stuff gets like all of those great barrel flavors really quickly, where like in Scotland, and especially in Orkney, way, way, way up north, it's like, you've got like a much kind of wider, longer time before all of that, you know, wood starts to take effect and stuff like that. It's just like,
yeah, well, the maturation is sped up in those warmer climates, and it's, you know, Orkney, a lovely gentle maturation arc. So with this being a speakeasy, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to throw it open to everyone. I see everyone's muted and listening and having a good time, but if anyone wants to ask questions or speak to Tonia, I should have offered the same to Dr. Belisa, but she was on a time crunch. But if anyone has questions, Crystal said, shout out to Next Level. Always saw your name, Tonia, but now it's so amazing to see your face. I am screen shooting to send to Paige.
oh,
So that's nice.
Paige, I miss her.
We love Paige. Paige is awesome. Hopefully, you know, we can get that back up and running, you know, once things change. So let's see if anyone get any questions, or anyone would like to chat with Tonia.
Tonia, did you ever have a favorite Highland Park?
I do. I have a favorite Highland Park pretty much every day. Like it really depends, right? On I'm kind of like what mood I'm in. If I had like a desert island Highland Park, it would probably be the 18. To me, that's just it's at the perfect place, right? Like it's the sweet spot. You know, I could drink Highland Park 18 every day if I were filled with money, and
if someone else was paying for it, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's really magical. I also am I love Valkyrie, which is one of the limited series that they put out. There were Valkyrie and Valknut. They're both kind of more heavily peated, and then
extra smoke.
A little extra smoke, which I love. And they're also like a little more burly, right? Like they have a little bit higher proof, and so anything high proof I'm into. My husband, I got him Odin for our wedding. That was his wedding present. So I take nips off of it every once in a while. And then the Dark also, which is just
the Dark.
Yeah.
I love sherry. I'm a huge sherry fan, probably why I'm drawn to Highland Park in the first place. But the Dark is one of the best things they've put out ever.
Yeah, while we're on the subject, hey Lacey, what did your little buddy end up choosing? Was it the light or the dark?
It was the Dark, of course. The Dark is my favorite as well.
Where is he? Come on, I know he's there. I know he's right there. Yes.
There he is.
It wouldn't be a virtual call without him.
Look at that face.
He's just chilling.
I have the stuff too. My dog like will knock my drink out of my hand. Like he can smell when it's certain alcohol, and he'll like sabotage it, and then he'll lick it off wherever it's dripped. Like when we first got him, actually, I was taking a bottle of Magnus to Basic to drop off, and I was walking him over there, and he like did some weird ninja move that caused me to like drop and smash the entire bottle on the street in front of the bar, and he just like drove it, like licking the ground. Like obviously I got the glass and stuff out of the way, and I was like trying to wrangle him and like kick the glass at the same time, and he was just like in it. Like he's a drunk.
Fantastic.
Gets it on us.
A question that's popped up, Tonia, is what's your favourite record to drink Highland Park to?
Ooh, that's really funny. Actually, Highland Park made a mix on a vinyl when Full Volume came out, and it's actually really cool. I have a few of them that I'm saving some to give to friends, but I probably would say, I mean, again, depends on the mood. We've been throwing on some like kind of older indie rock lately. Definitely a lot of like Lucero around here and getting kind of country and
Tanya, do you have that? Do you have one of those that's accessible? I've never seen this.
the
piece
record.
of swag. Yeah.
I do. You want to give me like 2 minutes? I can go get it.
Sold.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is my favorite of the newer releases, the Twisted Tattoo in the Rioja cast. I think this is phenomenal. So underrated, unusual. The sweetness, the wine. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Love it to bits.
I just make fun of Evan real quick and say he looks like he's literally from the state he comes from. And that's like the most stereotypical image you could see.
Okay, so the best
rocking chair on a porch, wood slap backgrounds.
The best part is this is my buddy's house. We had these crazy storms come through, and I've been without power since Sunday.
Ooh, I'm sorry, brother. That's rough.
No.
So my buddy's house is actually out west, and it's great because I'm muted because there's literally a rooster in the background. And I'm like, oop, stereotypical. Oh God, oh Lord, oh God.
Hey man, I have roosters in my background and I live in Connecticut. So come on, there's roosters everywhere.
Awesome. That's a great looking record.
Wait, is that
So
an
what is
EP?
How do we not get that?
Full volume.
Oh, look at that.
Fantastic.
Oh wow. Of course we didn't get it. We work for the company.
What's
Right?
no? What's
Jeremy,
No.
what was
Send me your address. I will send you one.
Oh boy, I'd love one.
Legend!
I will make sure I send you my address. I would love one of those. That is fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, send me your address. I'll send them over.
I will send you like a full volume or something.
what's on there?
Highland Park in exchange.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Tonia has a virtual tip jar. If you would like a record, if you'd like a full volume record, it is Tonia Guffey at, was it PayPal or Venmo? It was Venmo, wasn't it?
Tanya Guffey.
Yeah, could
Yeah,
you
Tanya, just put
throw
your
that up
Venmo
again?
in the chat.
put it in the
Okay,
chat?
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, don't feel obligated, honestly. And if there are plenty of virtual tip jars out there online too. So if you want to support your local community, I think you can pick it by city and stuff like that. Or, any of the bars that you frequent, I would suggest seeing on their Facebook page if they have like a GoFundMe or something like that set up. I think that's really important right now, especially like, for a lot of the back of house people and a lot of the like barbacks and supporting staff.
Oh, yeah.
It's, depending on where you live, the unemployment can be really frustrating and meager, to say the least.
Yeah.
How is it in Vegas?
It's actually really good here for me. At first, it took a long time to kind of get things going. I was let go like a week prior to things shutting down, so I think I got like a jump up on people. But it's, they've broken it into like last name and stuff like that, different days of the week. And our governor, luckily, our mayor is a fucking psychopath, but governor, thankfully, is very responsible. And he's been really, really great.
It's a big state. There's a big difference between New York City and the rest of the state. It's the same with Vegas.
Yeah, totally. And thankfully, like our governor is using like health experts to kind of dictate what gets done here. So.
As opposed to just thinking they know the right answers, they're actually asking experts.
Crazy.
You're an expert,
Where
Kieron, on this subject. I was
like, where is everybody? Like, is anybody somewhere that like has already reopened? I'm super curious about like how weird that is.
Sorry,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, Blake is in Texas and he just took off and we were chatting about it earlier. Said it's super awkward. That's all he had to say. They're open.
Tennessee is open, but all the major cities like Nashville, Memphis, Chattanooga have still not opened. Like you were talking about support, all of my favorite local bars and restaurants, if they're still doing carry out, like definitely, go pick up some food and then throw the servers, bartenders who are there like a bunch of change. But also it's cool because currently you can still do carry out cocktails. So if you have like a favorite restaurant you can go to, you go pick up a burger and they're like, oh yeah, you want to throw me a Paloma? Sure, yeah, let's do that. Let's make that happen. And you just tip your bartenders whenever you can. But beyond that, that's the biggest thing you can do. But because Nashville's still closed, everybody can do carry out and take away and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm out here, 30 miles west at my buddy's house, and I went into a little cheap Mexican that's in, downtown. And I was like, this is so weird. Everybody's spread out, but all the servers are in masks, gloves, like everybody. And I'm like, how are you supposed to eat here? And like, it's still just a very weird vibe. Totally.
Well,
I wonder like how long I wonder if takeout cocktails and those liquor license laws are going to be something that are going to shift.
Well,
I think it's going to be hard to take it away. It's going to be hard to take.
About to say, there's been a couple of articles recently where they've said that obviously they've relaxed a lot of laws, takeout cocktails where they weren't allowed before, and it's going to be impossible to put that genie back in the bottle. So it actually long-term looks good for us in the liquor industry and bars, because you will have that takeout element, especially if it gets plugged into Grubhub. And if you're ordering from your favorite restaurant and you can get a 375 of a pre-mixed cocktail and everyone becomes used to that, then it puts everyone's check total up and all that sort of stuff.
Could you do that in LA? You can actually. Could you do cocktails?
Yeah.
Yes.
So on a national level, Landry's have asked for. They've got a war room and have asked for vessels that they can, sell cocktails in. Obviously, every state is different, but I believe in Los Angeles they are. I haven't done it personally yet, but I believe it is being offered.
We cannot do it in CT in Connecticut.
No, really.
No.
I'm just curious, it's like a whole new slew, right, of like health department and how are you packaging it and like how are you IDing? Is that something on like it's crazy. It's cool, but it's like we have to roll with the punches on it, but it definitely like kind of changes the whole conversation and the whole game, right?
Well, that's the thing. You're selling something for a certain price, and it's going out the door, and you don't necessarily know exactly how much alcohol is in there. You could adjust it. That's the thing. When you sell alcohol, you're selling it price per unit of alcohol or whatever.
Price per ounce.
Yeah. So it's interesting that it's being allowed, which is fantastic. I just hope it continues.
Does anybody else have any pre-batch cocktails in places that they do? Like in Nashville, it's just big. They have frozen stuff, but a lot of people, have cocktails on draft and things like. So, if people get really well known for these cocktails on draft or something like that, then it makes sense. But other than that, it feels very Wild West.
I've seen a few bar owners that I know that are basically going through their inventory, right? So they'll take, 6 bottles and they're selling the whole bottle and then a kit on how to make, like maybe they'll sell the lime juice and then they'll sell, the ginger beer and then they'll sell berries and a 750. And it's like, okay, it comes as a whole shebang and makes 16 drinks or whatnot,
What we're seeing here in California, and as there's 3 other people could chime in for your different markets, but here in San Francisco, 48 licenses that have no food are not allowed to sell pre-batch cocktails to go, but they can sell the kits. And restaurants that have a food license, which is a 47, are allowed to do that. And there's been a couple bars that have gotten busted for selling pre-made cocktails. ABC is out there actively trying to find people who are in violation.
They shut down the Snug here in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And they've moved their operation to their sister restaurant, which does serve food, is how they've been combating that.
Correct.
But you guys, so at bars, you can sell bottles to go at bars. You just can't sell made drinks, right? It's weird. So there's a lot of inconsistencies with the rules. But
it kind of goes back to Tonia's original point. You can sell a kit. So H, who owns Elixir, which is a legendary whiskey bar here, will sell you a bottle, his brand of bullshit mixer he makes, and they can how to make it.
I love you, mate.
It's a safe place here, right? This is safe.
Yeah, well, one of my accounts, or one of my friends in national accounts, who works for Campari, and she's obviously selling Campari and Aperol, and they've teamed up with one of the liquor suppliers to with smaller with fractionals to put together a Boulevardier kit or a Negroni kit, and they're selling it as
that's cool.
Small format kit.
Like 3 minis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's 375s, but yeah, that's a good solid set.
It's also, I mean, it brings back the whole conversation too, though, of like, I was talking to my husband about it, and it's like how there's been so much time, right, here, people at their house making their own drinks, making their own cocktails. It's not like when you pick up, you know, the EMP cookbook and you're like, there's no way without a commercial kitchen that I can produce, you know, this fucking shallot sauce or whatever. But with drinks, it's like, okay, you know, at some point, like, are people going to want to kind of go to a bar to pick up a Negroni kit when they can just buy a bottle of Campari and a bottle of gin and figure it out, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think one of the, it's not a legit concern, but I've definitely talked to some of the homies about it. Like, all these home bartenders are going to go into bars now and be like, well, that's not how I made it during quarantine.
Less ice does mean more booze.
For 8 weeks. That's not how you do it. You're doing it wrong, bro. You're like
that's I've been doing it my whole life.
Less ice means more booze. It's true.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny, as I just had a virtual tasting with a distributor sales team. And, you know, I was like, hey, you know, make up the best cocktail with any of the products we sell and stuff. And they're all giving me the recipes. They're like, yeah, I was going to do, you know, 1.5 ounces, but it ended up being like 3.5 ounces. And all these other people are like, yeah, I just finished mine out with some naked grouse, so it's fine. And I was like, okay, the problem that everybody's going to have is you're going to go into a bar now and get a cocktail and be like, this is weak as hell. What is it announcing?
For sure.
Not how I make it at home.
Well, that was
for all the chefs, like, how many times have I gone into a restaurant and been like, this pasta's underdone, like, or whatever, and been like a total asshole, and then realized, like, there's no way I can fucking hand roll raviolis, like
exactly.
I
will only go out for sushi because I can't do it at home. I'm like, all right, I'll leave that to you guys.
Right. My brother and I used to live together in London. We bought a house together, and we used to get vases from IKEA, you know, like a proper vase to put our rum and Coke in. So we'd have a glass vase, just so we didn't have to keep going back to the fridge. You know, one piece of ice to show willing, and then you have the huge big vase. And then you go to a bar and they serve you a normal sized drink, and you're like, what is this paltry offering?
I spit that out, exactly.
Blow my nose at you.
I'm actually in Pennsylvania, and you know, we have like the most archaic laws outside of Utah in the state, and we are about to pass cocktails to go, which is crazy. Like, their minds are blown that Pennsylvania, the control state, is about to do this. Right. So actually tomorrow, it's funny that you bring it up. We're going to have someone come on and talk to bartenders about how to monetize their skill set, because these bars have no idea. They've never had the opportunity to sell anything to go in terms of alcohol. So she's going to come on tomorrow and talk about how to monetize that as a bartender. How do you call your local bars and say, let me help you put your cocktail to go program together? Because this is a big deal for us.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
All right. No, that'll be a good one to sit in on.
So Crystal, you're tomorrow, yes?
Yes, tomorrow.
So who do you, apart from that, do you have anyone else coming on as a guest, or is it just the one?
So I have, so Jung, she actually has, she built her business. It was a submission in college, and she actually won the grant. So she started, it's called Cocktail Culture, and she teaches lay people how to make cocktails. Mm-hmm. She works with, partners with a lot of businesses. She's really, she's super good at ingredients, but she's also really good at business. So it's going to be super exciting to have her on. We have Matty Hart. He's going to be on as well. He was my lead bartender when we launched Naked Grouse here in Pennsylvania. So, and he's from East London. So he's got a lot of fun stories that he's going to tell. So I definitely need you to be on that one, Kieron. And then
I'll come on just for the Cockney rhyming slang.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to hear the two of you go at each other. Yes. And then we have a musical guest. His name is Zeke Burrs, amazing artist, and he's curated a few songs that are kind of that what we're dealing with now. And then actually Maddie's going to make cocktails that match up with the songs. We're also going to play Stump Jung. So we're all going to do sort of a chopped version. So we're going to have people go into their pantry for ingredients within limits, of course. I mean, we don't want people bringing out onions for a cocktail, or red onions for a cocktail.
Challenge
But we're
accepted.
gonna, you said what?
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be Stump John. So
He's
we're
at his
gonna
friend's house. He's be like, "What do you got, Bob? I'm taking
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Not my fault. It's Bob's house. I don't."
Exactly. You hear the rooster outside, right? It's I mean, I can't
Egg.
help
I can make
it.
anything happen.
So then we're gonna have again, we're hoping to have some people from the trade, but also lay people come on, and they can just figure out whatever they have in their kitchen, how to make a balanced cocktail of what they have.
Nice.
Very nice, very nice. So we'll definitely be tuning into that. Thank you, Crystal. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Well, today was great. I mean, I was super excited to see Tonia's face. I mean, like I said, I've always seen your name, and Paige has said your name so much, and I'm like so super excited to see your face. And now I know how to breathe. I'm going to be practicing my breathing exercises. Know how to do it. So thank you. Amazing show.
No.
Well, with that, I'm going to wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to wrap it up with. First of all, thank you very much, Tonia. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely superb.
Yes. Yay.
And just before we all go, I wanted to share a tip with you. This is a tip that I learned for surviving work Zoom calls. Right? What you do is you get this off a tea bag, cut it off, right, and you sellotape it to the inside of your cup. And you can have wine in there, and everyone thinks you're just drinking tea.
Nicely done.
Cheers to that.
Pro tip for today.
There you go.
That's called the floor manager, Sunday brunch manager.
Exactly. Tonia, thank you very much. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, outro music.
Yes, the chain.
The chain.
I love you.